getting on. Sat by the fireside, pondering on. Picture book, pictures of your mama, taken by your papa a long time ago. Picture book of people with each other to prove they love each other a long time ago. Picture book, picture book.
Well, we are off and running. We hope you're tied on for a little Friday edition of Gulfstream today, live from our Paddock Set Studios. The boys in pink. We have got Pete Aiello and Jason Blewett, by the way. A little bit of maybe Gulfstream today synergy working.
Or some subliminal advertising on behalf of our friends in Baltimore for the Black Eyed Susan and the Susan G. Komen race day. So
Yeah.
I think we probably didn't know that in our foremind, but we thought of it subconsciously.
Well, and that is obviously a very worthy charity and a noteworthy cause. And these days before the Triple Crown have really blossomed into more of a breast cancer awareness day. When you think of the Kentucky Oaks and certainly today's Black Eyed Susan, a few hundred miles north of us at Pimlico Racecourse, and they'll run the Black Eyed Susan today. And the Phillies get their chance in the spotlight. And what are you doing in that race?
I'm very excited. I'm unabashed home team on this one. I have rooting interest. My college roommate and best friend on the planet making his second start in a graded stake here today. He has Good One Honey, who's been undefeated and relatively untested in 2 races. Takes a big step forward against the big girls here this afternoon, but I'm rooting for him. I know he's not watching. He's at the barn getting her ready, but Good One Honey for me.
And this is trainer Jason Egan, correct?
It is indeed.
All right.
It's Jason Egan. He actually spent a few winters in South Florida as the assistant trainer for Mike Trombetta, and then a Todd Pletcher foreman before that. So.
Pretty cool. Worked for Michael Dickinson as well?
Yeah, he started with Michael Dickinson. He was Sheldon Russell's roommate, and before Sheldon Russell got rolling on a racing career, and then worked for Todd, Christine Jenks in Chicago, and then assistant for Mike Trombetta before he went out on his own.
Well, he's Jason, or he is a Jason, and he's all right in my book. We'll wish his filly the best of luck in today's Black Eyed Susan. Whether and what a difference a day makes here in South Florida. It's still a little on the muggy side, and that goes with the territory, but in terms of just overall comfortness and lack of rain, we have really taken a big step forward off that Thursday card. And just watching that intro of Gulfstream Park through the years, we were just talking. My wife sent me a text because her and I are music geeks and self-proclaimed music nerds. But 50 years to the day, the anniversary of the 1968 Miami Pop Festival right here on the grounds at Gulfstream Park, headlined by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. 50 years to the day. Pretty awesome.
It is, and not even 50 years ago at the old Gulfstream Park, you used to have major bands on a regular basis, and I can remember listening to Kansas and the Beach Boys and Eric Burton and the Animals and a variety of great entertainment that we used to have between races, and they actually staged it at the old building. It would be on the paddock side, so you were actually somewhat insulated. If you were a music fan, you stayed on the music side. If you're a racing fan, you came to the track side.
Well, we're fans of the game, no doubt. Racing fans, true and true, and let's get down to business. And by the way, we are running a big race somewhat north of us tomorrow afternoon at Pimlico Racecourse. That is, of course, Preakness 143 as the second jewel of the Triple Crown, and that coveted Woodlawn Vase is up for grabs. Field of 8 set to go, and Justify will be an overwhelming favorite. No new news here, which is a good thing. Glad all 8 are set to go, and do you like Justify?
I like Justify, as I think he's the most likely winner. I would never gamble on Justify for a variety of reasons. I don't have, as we were talking, I was talking to Edgard Zayas this morning. We both don't have a strong opinion as to who the right horse to try to take on Justify is. But that said, I don't know that it's as foregone a conclusion as everyone wants it to be. They have to run the race.
So you're not banging out an ice-cold 7-5 exacta till the cows come home?
Certainly not. In different situations, if we had a Betfair account, I might lay that exact proposition.
All right, sounds good. Well, let's get you up to speed, everybody, as we are fast and off the turf. But again, a really nice day in Hallandale Beach with plenty of sun shining. And Pete, after the show, will be upstairs calling the action. And, of course, you've got the best seat in the house. And a little rundown rundown as to what's on tap with the first of 11 as we set sail a little after 1:15 p.m. And we do have a carryover in the super high five of just about $1,800, give or take. And that'll get underway in race number 1, along with the opening leg of Friday's 50-cent early pick 5. And Pete will definitely have a ticket coming your way. We had 2 singles potentially paying out yesterday, Pete, in the Rainbow Six, and lo and behold, we're left with about 11 G's.
About 11 G's. Nice carryover in that late pick 5 yesterday. Led to a payoff in the 4-figure range. No way would it have paid that without the carryover. So if you got lucky in that late pick 5, you definitely got a bonus with that carryover.
Absolutely. We go full circle, and Pete will have the early and the late pick 5 on this edition of Gulfstream Today covered. So sit tight for both of his plays. And in fact, without further ado, my friend, as we have no turf, and there's plenty of turf lined up over Saturday and Sunday here at Gulfstream Park. So we'll save the grass course for Preakness weekend here in Hallandale Beach. What are you doing in this early pick 5?
Well, it should be noted that I did handicap yesterday for today, and I handicapped it to be off the grass. So that's good news in the opinion department as we are off the turf here this afternoon. Probably the right move. Had a ton of rain here yesterday. I know the sun is out now, but the turf course definitely needed a good soaking and probably a good day to give it a rest. And so in the opening contest, I'll go with the 4 Joshua's Comprise, who we probably have a lot more to say about. The 6 Luminary Flight, who turned the corner, and the 7 Charlie the Greek, who may not be at his best in a 1-mile trip. Second leg, 4 Deep, trying to take on the heavy-hitting favorite High Blue. I'll use him defensively. I'll also use Dreamy Martini Aristellas at a price, and the horse that I like at a bit of a price is number 7 KK's Revolver. The signal comes, single, there we go, comes in the 3rd race of the sequence with number 4 Unexplained. He is the only horse with any dirt for him, and I think that means he is a solid play in there. The 4th race, I didn't think this was as easy a race as it looked on paper. I'll use the 4 Rogue Patriot, the 5 Royalty Salvatore, and number 7 Magnifier. Close it out in the 5th leg. I see only 2 horses with dirt form. As I say in the screen there, dirt form separators are 3, a square to square, and number 5 Tayuna.
And they both have speed, those horses. And I looked at that race for quite some time with the service switch to the main. And you know what I came up with? Square to spare and Tayuna down the line in race number 5. We do begin, though. It's a pretty good 12-5 claimer to start the card. Not an easy race by any stretch of the imagination as we kick things off with a field of 7 going that demanding 1-turn mile. Now, in the case of trader Victor Barboza Jr., he had entered 2 horses. The 7 Charlie the Greek, who we both think is going to run very well, and the 2 Majestic Air. He has scratched the deuce. He goes it alone with the 7 Charlie the Greek, who I think, and it's narrow, but he's the starting point and narrowly the horse to beat.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, everyone has questions in this race. Does Joshua's Comprise take to the barn change? Does Charlie the Greek handle the mile? Does Rogue Patriot handle running against older horses? There's a lot of questions that I don't have concrete answers for.
And there's no speed either outside of the 3 Alcor.
Yeah, that was what I was just going to say. Number 3 Alcor, who we both are trying to beat, who was installed as the morning line favorite. He could shake free. I'll be interested to see how the main track here plays, Jay. Yesterday was odd. Usually when it rains in South Florida, the main track becomes a conveyor belt. Yesterday it was the complete opposite of that early on, and then as it started to dry out a little bit, then we got to the conveyor belt type scenario. Fundy's Tide, a prime example of that. If there is still moisture in that main track, which I think there will be, speed might be very valuable here today.
And we'll keep tabs on it, obviously. And the scratch of the number 2 horse, Majestic Air, may move up the number 3 Alcor in that pace department. Joshua's Comprise, who I'm going to take a shot with. Look, this horse has been insanely spotted throughout a good chunk of his career. I mean, ambitiously placed doesn't even tell the tale. And a change of scenery might, with peace and love, might do this now 8-year-old who's just 3 for 80. Might do him some good. He's had over 70 days between starts. And he'll go out for Peter Walder here. Does a good job off the claim. And I think Peter would be the first to say, look, at times I can be a little streaky. His horses are running well now, and he ran 1-2 in the exacta here
sure
yesterday's last, right?
Big boy Bruno off the claim, so if you need the recency angle on the angle itself, Big boy Bruno fired off the claim yesterday. Joshua's Comprise. I like that. What was that phrase you used? With
Peace and love.
Yeah, I like that.
Peace and love.
I like that.
Taken from Ringo Starr. Let's move on to race number 2. We stay at a mile. We stay on the main track. This is a 3 and up, $12,500 claimer. We touched upon the pace or lack thereof in race number 1 because of the early speed factor and, for the most part, a string of good races on somewhat of a consistent scale. The 3 High Blue is the horse that I think leads the front of the pack, and in terms of just discussing the field in Friday's second race. What becomes, though, a bit of a dicey proposition at will likely be a short price, even looking at the early doubles. Way out, I get from race number 1, but this horse is going to be a big favorite as he plummets in claiming price. How much do you trust High Blue here?
I don't. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on with High Blue is I know there's a lot of racing for handicappers that don't use the buyer system, or if they do, they don't think it's gospel. I would be in the latter category. But one thing I always thought was great about it is if you trust the figures, even if you don't believe them, let's say you don't think that they're right in terms of numbers, but if all other things being equal, if they are standard to the cause, you can see a form cycle very, very conclusively. You can see that he ran a 76 off the claim, or when Zerpa had him, and then he regressed off the claim, even though he ran okay.
Sure.
And then you would think, okay, well, maybe he'll regress again. He did, big time. Now, I don't know that he regressed as much as a 23 figure,
right.
But the point of the story is the same. He has not got better off the claim, and now they're trying to go with an exit strategy, dropping him in for what they took him for.
Which is kind of crazy when you think that this is such a good blue-collar claiming barn here with trainer Saffie Joseph Jr. And case in point, we praise Saffie all the time, and we mention his horses in a positive light, but we got to be thorough. We got to cover, you know, each side of the coin. And again, a little food for thought with a horse who's going to be favored here in race number 2. When you look at Saffie over the last 5 years, when these horses start to maybe erode a little bit in their form, and they're dropping at least 50% in claiming price, just 2 for 18 for a very short return of investment as well. I think a potentially dicey favorite in race number 2, and that led me into the 4, Dreamy Martini, who is a bit of a question in his own right going this 1 mile distance. But his last couple have been okay, and I think he's exiting. It's funny, for the same claim price of 12.5, got to go a little longer today, but I think he's coming out of a race that is way tougher and way deeper.
And that's something that if you follow Florida racing on a regular basis, you can get an advantage over the majority of horse players, because that happens all the time, where there'll be a race that has the same claiming price that is so much tougher than another race of the same claiming price. And we talked about it yesterday. It proved to be true, so we'll talk about it again today. 3-year-olds this time of year against older horses, a lot of times you'll look at the racing form and you'll see them plunging in class. It's not as big a drop as you think, as they're trying to find their form and their level against older horses, and the races for the older horses routinely are written at a lesser claiming price but are tougher races.
Yeah, absolutely. And you like KK's Revolver from the outside, my friend.
I like him from the outside. I think the outside's key. He'll have some options out there.
Yeah, that outside post is where you want to be going that 1-turn mile. As we stay at a mile, 8 furlongs, a very popular distance here on the main as we get into this May 18th Black-Eyed Susan Day here at Gulfstream. Just a field of 4 in Friday's third, obviously moved from the turf, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on the race. A race that the 4 Unexplained will anchor your early pick 5. And as you work your way through, I know this horse is a stone-cold plotter who likes to just fall way out of his races early on, but I mean, he is the only dirt horse here, and it's not even, I don't think it's even up for debate.
How can you debate it? There's nothing else to go on in terms of dirt form other than Unexplained. Camacho riding for De La Cerda. I like Camacho. I think he hasn't had an opportunity to showcase his talents yet, but this is the type of horse Camacho excels on, is he'll be able to get him in gear very much like Graybo yesterday and get him to grind away on the outside. So
yeah.
All about Unexplained.
Even with the lack of speed, and if Squadron or Give to UK Cats somehow winds up one of those horses on a slow pace, I don't think it's going to matter. Unexplained's supposed to cut everybody down in race number 3. Opening sprint on the afternoon comes in race number 4 as we go 3/4 on the main track. This one a 3 and up, $25,000 to $20,000 claimer. 7 signed on, and I am very bullish here on the rematch of the April 6th horses from the first race that day between the 5 Royalty Salvatore and the outside runner, the number 7 Magnifier. Magnifier is the kind of horse that I'm going to go for almost every time. Horse that has obviously had issues, Pete, sticking around and running on a semi-regular basis. I mean, geez, he's a 6-year-old with just 8 starts under his belt. You know there's talent somewhere under the hood, because this horse really ran well in his first 3 starts. Danny Gargan, about as shrewd as they come, playing the claiming game, and he is one of these very sharp, crafty trainers who can claim a horse that had some back class or some back talent, lay them up for a little bit, and get them back to that level that they once were, or if not at the level close to it, and I'm thinking that's going to happen today with the 7 magnifier.
No argument for me. I used him second. I didn't have a huge delineation between him and Rogue Patriot. You have the same top 3 here.
Yeah, Royalty Salvatore should run well, and Rogue Patriot for Peter Walder comes out of a good race, and boy, did he give that Pletcher drop down zap, zap, zap a real fear. I didn't think zap, zap, zap turning for home was going to win that race.
That's a sore topic in the betting department with me, as I was against zap, zap, zap. Everything went wrong for zap, zap, zap that particular day, and he won anyway. I don't mind getting beat when a horse is much the best like that. But that said, Rogue Patriot did give you a little tease last time.
Yeah, still stings, my friend. I hear you. As Todd Pletcher has no runners in action today here at Gulfstream. He does have a couple of maidens who are going to be well bet tomorrow afternoon. And we'll get on to race number 5 as we cash out Friday's early pick 5. We're on the main going 7 furlongs, field of 6. These are 3 and up. Filly and Mare, $10,000 claimers. And again, a race we don't need to spend a lot of time on. You went too deep in your early pick 5 with the Square to Spare and the 5 Tiuna. They just look like the 2 best dirt horses. Everybody else in here is exclusively turf or like a DNF case on the dirt.
Yeah, and that is,
right?
Yeah, and I think that that's a key component of this race. And Tiuna's last race on dirt is a complete throwout. She was very anxious before the start of that race. You see it in the racing form. She broke open the start of the gate. If you go back to her races on dirt before that, her most recent race before that on the dirt was last July here at Gulfstream Park. She got stung hard as the betting favorite went way too fast and then folded up shop behind Last Kiss. The race we're really keying off, Jason and I, is the race last June. Yes, I said last June. Tiuna raced on the main track. She took the lead early and she took the lead late, and I think she'll do the same thing here.
Either one of those dirt races is probably good enough to defeat this field, and she might, in my eyes, she's a little more likely to go 7/8 on the dirt than perhaps her arch rival in this one, the number 3, a Square to Spare, who does have a Misao Jaramillo.
And they both have speed, so maybe we're going to kill each other on the front end. I hope not, but that is a possibility.
Saw some guys aggressive yesterday, and it was good to see, even races that melted down. Good to see guys riding hard out of the starting gate, as we, of course, ride hard and set our sights on the final 6 races here on the broadcast. More Gulfstream today on the other side of this quick timeout.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve. Give bettors the information they need to win and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
And Gulfstream is pulling away. Gulfstream blows them away with an eye-opening performance. Again has won. Gulfstream kicking clear. Judy the Beauty.
About 45 minutes out from the Friday 1st on this May the 18th. It is Preakness weekend, and we're all starting the weekend on the right foot, sitting next to and with Pete Aiello, the voice of Gulfstream Park. And we were reminiscing a little bit during the break with Go Zappers commercial, and although I've seen it about a gazillion times, I still always have fond memories of watching Go Zapper during his Hall of Fame career for Bobby Frankel. And what about, tell us the story about his non-winners of 1 victory. I think that was summertime of his 3-year-old season, 3 or 4, no, it must have been his 3-year-old season when he shipped east for Frankel.
Yeah, he shipped east for Frankel, and I was at the Palm Beach Kennel Club as a young horse player, and one of the only horses in my mind that I actually literally threw my ticket in the trash as they head down the backstretch, as I had figured he needed to be controlling speed. He blew the brake that day. He ran down everybody like a good thing and ended up being a really good thing.
Who could just hit hard and give you a 120 buyer from 6 or 7 all the way out to a mile and a quarter. An amazing horse, and he is, of course, the dam sire of the unbeaten Derby winner, Justify. We do have that advanced wagering on the Preakness today. We've also got 11 G's up for grabs in the Rainbow Six, and You better believe it. The sequence kicks off with a big field, good-sized field of 9 of these 2-year-old 50K maiden claimers. Now, for me, Pete, the 2 keys, mining for main track form obviously needs to come into play today. And at times, you might be hard-pressed to really come up with some solid, reliable, consistent dirt form. What do you do with Untruthful Sonnet? You, with this graphic up, and I went for the Ron Nicoletti 4320, a big thumbs down. I didn't single her in the nightcap. I think when it comes down to it, though, she's going to be the shortest price favorite in this sequence and in the late pick 5.
Well, I'll wait for us to come back on camera before I tell you exactly what I think of Untruthful Sonnet and what you should do there. Chuck her out. If you didn't get that the first time, chuck her out. She burns money. She's not a good horse on the main track, and I think she's definitely beatable. And when she wins, I will lose, but I am not on the Untruthful
All right,
Sonnet
and she,
there.
again, as you work your way through the nightcap today, and we'll get up to it in a few moments, she sticks out like a sore thumb. Now, as we get on to race number 6, we got this 50K maiden claimer 2-year-old race, and we do have a couple of horses with experience already, and it looks like a case of the number 2 Big Bud for Herman Walensky and the 5 Mardi Gras Girl. I think the connections are both saying, look, we want to win. We want to win early. These are speedy, precocious types. And I'm hoping the speed of Mardi Gras Girl helps her out this afternoon, as this is, I'd say, about as big a do-over as you can get in thoroughbred racing, right?
Yeah. And what Jason's talking about is the last time Mardi Gras Girl ran, she had dislodged the rider as she broke to the right that particular event, and Miguel just kind of lost his balance. It should be noted, because this is full disclosure territory here, Miguel had fell in the race before that and came back to ride Mardi Gras Girl, presumably because he felt he was okay and she was an easy winner, and then only to fall again. I do think that's definitely do-over for her.
And that was just 8 days ago, so they're jamming her back in and dropping her in class, theoretically, to 50K. I'm going to take her, just thinking that they're saying, you know what, let's get the money while the getting's good. Now, the 3 Lucky to Be in America, maybe I was a little over-aggressive in leaving this horse out of the Super. Due to our friends over at Express Bet TV, XBTV, why don't we get you up to speed with this one's last gate breeze here? Just last weekend, in fact, a few days ago on May the 9th, where we have this solid effort, a decent little work out of this colt by It's My Lucky Day, as the 3 Lucky to Be in America broke outside and is likely to come out firing today for trainer Eddie Plesa Jr.
Broke really well and then was a bit slow into stride and shifted to the wrong lead there, so I'm not sure if I like that or not, but I know I trust Eddie Plesa to get a horse ready, and I trust Edgar Zayas to have this horse forwardly placed. I was against the horses that have raced, because I do think there are some horses that have not raced that have a little bit of upside, and they'll be a good price. The 3 comes to mind, the 7 Scraps. Stanley Gold's going really good right now with Jeffrey Sanchez. And how do you throw out Anna Varsi off the hole in the wind horse she ran the other day? The inside draw with Eddie Nunez is no bargain, but that horse will be a big price, and the race, the barn has already won a 2-year-old race.
And won. That horse was tipped out. Something Treasure Your Dream, I think, something along those lines. That horse already up at Palm Meadows or in Ocala with trainer Mark Cassie.
Okay.
Phone was ringing off the hook, and
that filly we're talking about is Florida Sire Stakes eligible, so she's the odds-on favorite to win the first leg.
Yeah, no doubt. She was very good, and of course you have Anna Varsi from the rail. So we thank our friends over at XBTV for the workout with Lucky to Be an American. We'll see. I've got a filly taking down some colts today, as you have a mix of colts and fillies. Now let's move on to race number 7, shall we, Pete? Late pick 5 begins. We go 2 turns. First finish line race on the main at a mile and a 16th with this field of 6 in this 3 and up $20,000 claimer. Where else? What are you doing in here with your late pick 5?
Well, I like your pick, by the way. Mare Hoffen is the horse that you used on top. This horse makes my late pick 5 ticket. I'm 3 deep here. I hope I can get out of this race with just 3. Stay on base. Running style-wise seems to suit the main track. The 5 Mare Hoffen, I'll let you talk about him more in a moment. I have a theory on that horse. The 9 Mosca, Tammy Levy off the claim. 2 deep in the 8th race. That's the race I'm going to need some help, as Beautiful Alley is the likely favorite and a heavy favorite at that. She's in second gear, though, 10 seconds with only the elusive 1 victory. Single comes in the 9th. I'm confident of that. Dixie Princess, all she has to do is pretty much run the race that she's been running. She has an outside post. That's great. 3 deep in the 10th. That'll cover it. 1 Affluential, 7 Four Freedoms in the 8 Miago. No Untruthful Sonnets for me. Chuck her out. I did. Number 5, Little But Awesome from Tampa. Number 7, 2 Diamonds for Jaime Mejia. And the number 8, the wild card of the field, Cool Mayara for Bernardo Lopez.
Yeah, that horse getting a trainer change. A respectable reliable dirt effort. If Untruthful Sonnet is 0 for 15 at the conclusion of today's card, I do think it'll be that Bernardo Lopez filly who wins as the likely second choice. Won't you feel a little silly, though, if you get there and maybe you get your single home, hopefully, you get a price or two, and then Untruthful Sonnet wins?
No, because I've seen Untruthful Sonnet run too many good races on the turf and too many good races on the main track at a short price and have no excuse and lose anyway. So I am steadfast on horses like that. When they win, I lose, and that's fine.
All right, I think you're nuts not even including her for a couple of bucks just in case you do get up to race number 11 this afternoon live. Now, in the case of Meyerhoffen, not the only J-bred by Curlin running today. We think of Irish Warcry running in the PIM Special. Do you like him at all to rebound?
That's a great race, the Pimlico
really
Special.
good.
If you haven't looked at it, it's part of the pick 4 sequence, the guaranteed pick 4.
You getting involved there at the PIM? Yeah?
I don't know. Like I said, I got to play for the home team on Good One Honey, but I promise Jason I don't bet. I don't want to jinx this horse.
All right. Now, in the case of Meyerhoffen, a bit of guesswork comes into play here. I mean, this horse has one race on the dirt. Not a good effort with the knee-jerk reaction. However, the positives, at least in my mind, better field, and it was over that oftentimes quirky dirt course at GPW.
Not only that, I think Meyerhoffen's a different racehorse now than he was the last time he ran on the dirt. That is my key part of it, and I used him third, but he is on my pick 5. I like the pick here.
And you got Mr. Sydney taken, or a son, I should say, of Mr. Sydney in the 9 Mosca. Taken to the main today.
Yeah, the reason why he stayed on top is he was my 4th number on the turf, and I didn't want to do that.
All right.
Bad karma.
All right, fair enough. We'll see what happens in race number 7. As we flip the page, we're on to race number 8. 7/8s on the dirt. 3 and up filly and mare, 2 lifetime claimers. And you had mentioned in passing, Pete, Beautiful Ally, or Beautiful Ally with your late pick 5 ticket. She does have the most reliable form, despite the fact that she's 1 for 27. I think she'll run well. I do think she'll also have a key rival who you included in your late pick 5, and I used in the Rainbow 6 and the 7 DeVolta, who, as she comes in off a belated and somewhat overdue maiden victory that we'll show you back on April 22nd, she just seems to me properly spotted first time against winners. They don't get cute. They don't run her, say, for 16 in a 2 lifetime. Boom. In for the 62.50 with trainer Antonio Sano. DeVolta, who had a big close last time out on April 22nd.
She was aided by a wicked pace. You can see Momenticat is the favorite and in front at this point. They fried her on the front end. They went 46 to the opening half mile, and these are not horses that should do that going a 1-turn mile. That was all she wrote. DeVolta's in front here, and it just gets pretty much well, I guess she just, I mean, look, she's not trying, the race is over is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, by the time they hit the 3/16 pole, she got that fast pace, swept to the lead, and she is all by herself. Now, she'll look to pair up wins, obviously, and she'll look to make it 2 for 13 in her career beneath apprentice rider Raylu Gutierrez. What do you think of Raylu so far? It seems like he's actually building up some local business and getting some traction down here.
He sure is. He's certainly a very, very well-spoken individual, and he's a smart guy, so I'm not surprised to see the marked improvement in his riding style and everything. I think if you asked him, he would say that he's pretty much been a sponge for information, but from the guys that he's been riding with and the guys he looks up to as well.
Well, that's smart. That's the way you got to do it, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter the station in life. And really fast, just to wrap up on this proud citizen filly, Antonio Sano, who runs a lot of horses. I think this is a barn, and I kind of like it. They are they don't care really about the win percentage. If they're doing well, we're going to run. But, I mean, this is a pretty good 15% move for the barn with just last out maiden winners coming back and claiming competition. So the Volta should run well, as will the 9 Beautiful Ally. And you're a fan of the outside runner, takes the shades off, and Casual Caro.
Yeah, big drop in class. Price will be right. I like the rider switch here to Carlos Lugo. I think this horse will get overlooked in the wagering. Her figures are in and out, but outside post and Beautiful Ally is the key rival. She'll have some options there.
Now, Carlos Lugo, I know we're starting to run a little short on time. Is this a Tampa guy?
No, he's actually been pretty much around all over the place. He was in Ohio for a while. He rode here at Gulfstream Park a few seasons ago as well, and he was also at Churchill for a period of time. So he kind of is one of those guys that hops around and doesn't stay one place very long, but he's definitely capable. All
right, sounds good. Outside post for that horse as we get on to race number 9. Heading to the outside of this card, no doubt, with 3 more races to bring you, beginning with this 7-furlong, 35K, 3 and up filly and mare claimer. Like you, Dixie Princess, one of 2 MTOs in in the race. If she runs back basically to her narrow victories or narrow wins when squared up against the 6 Golden Alina, I think they're running together for the 3rd consecutive race. She might just prove, and I think she's supposed to prove, the fastest horse in here.
Well, we were talking earlier about a cold punch. I don't know about a cold punch 11-2 here, but if you use the box function, hard pressed for me to see this race not running anything but 11-2 or 2-11. The 2 Dudacity has a race on the main track where she lost to Star Cloud. Oh, by the way, she's come back to be a stakes winner on this main track.
Yeah, no doubt. They really look good, and if I was going 3 deep, the 3rd horse by a lot would be the 6 Golden Alina, who just seems to be a step or 2 behind the 11 Dixie Princess for Lily Curtnez. As we move on to race number 10, a lot of races out of that 1 mile shoot on the card, and we got these $25,000 to $20,000 claimers set to rumble here. It's a pretty good race, obviously. Not only is it a good size in terms of the field, but this was a scheduled dirt race that has quite a bit going on, and I certainly respect your top pick, the 7-4 Freedoms. Little Vitali with the speed off the claim.
Yeah, he's controlling speed in here, and like I said, I have a theory, and I could be dead wrong, but I think with the sun out and the rain yesterday and the way the main track was a little gooey in the early stages of yesterday's rain shower, I think you're going to want to be very close to the pace, and we'll see, especially by the time the 10th race runs, whether I'm right. If you can get a controlling speed horse on a race that is kind to speed, why would you not?
How about a little Prince Tito who doesn't have speed? I mean, this horse is the antithesis of a speed horse, but he's been in some insanely tough allowance races. The drop in class for a trainer who can be very spotty and streaky in Gustavo Delgado. His horses are running. It's the drop. I combine those 2 things, and I think Prince Tito's going to run big, my friend.
I can't argue with you. For me, it's so far back on the main track that I can't bet horses that come from way back like that. Exception maybe Cheech Thunder, but that's only because I'm a fan of his.
All right, here we go with Untruthful Sonnet. Let's cap the card.
Chuck
Race
her
number
out.
11.
Chuck her out.
I don't see, so we'll have to get, and I feel bad potentially taking advantage of you because she's going to be an overwhelming favorite, and I just didn't know where else to go in the nightcap here. But you'll have to, and you left her out completely out of the Super? You're insane, dude. You are nuts.
Now that you could possibly take me over the coals about, but I don't know. I've seen her run on the main track. I've seen her run on the turf. I've seen her burn money time and time again. She always takes money. She just kind of plods along. Now, granted, this is probably the easiest field she's ever met, but am I going to take a proven commodity plotter, burn money horse as an odds-on favorite? No.
That's music to my ears.
No.
I fall for these horses all the time. Mr. Chalkman is in the house. I like Untruthful Sonnet, again, over the Bernardo Lopez wild card and Cool Mayara. You've got a little 2 Diamonds working here, who's, I guess, run okay on the dirt.
Listen, I can't sit here for 2 minutes, 2 seconds, or 5 minutes and really make a huge case for any of the 4 horses on the screen. However, I don't like Untruthful Sonnet. I think Fast Point, that is one thing I wanted to let all the listeners know. Fast Point, most recently second at Tampa behind Athena's Revenge. That was a very light maiden claiming race, so do with that what you will. Number 5, Lil But Awesome, comes in for David Hensley. I think this is bizarre. Hensley has moved almost all of his horses to Chicago. One of them just won last week. Why is she here? I don't understand it, but she does add Lasix. She lost to a well-met first-time starter last time out, and she did so over a racetrack where she made a little bit of a middle move. Upset possibility with only 1 race. Hensley's great. I just don't know what she's doing here. It is May, and he's got the rest of the string in Chicago.
Well, maybe he's got something good today. Likes her second time out, and she'll get a little more yardage to play with, and we'll see, of course. I am way more pumped up. Was looking forward to today no matter what. I mean, we love the game, and we love Gulfstream, but with Untruthful Sonnet in the nightcap, that is a really, in my eyes, perfect crescendo, with you obviously being a little stubborn but confident, which I like, and we'll see how she does in the last.
I have no problem saying I'm simply being stubborn. I have no factual basis to pick against Untruthful Sonnet other than to say that she will be a very short price.
Can I get you a drink before the changes? Maybe a glass of water or anything?
I got my Gatorade
An
on the
iced tea?
set. We're good to go.
All right, and this man, of course, you can't miss him. He'll be coming up in just a few moments. You look good in pink, by the way, my friend.
I like it better down here. The set yesterday was not very good to me.
Well, you look great up there, too. All right? I'll see you guys before the first. Pete's coming up in just a couple of moments, so pens and pencils up. Scratches are next, my friend.
Yes, sir.